We're live. What's up, everyone? What's up, Russ? Jay, what's going on? Rusty, Elias, Ray, and Mike. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Dennis, what's up? Great to be back after a week absence here. It's been a couple weeks. Hope you're all well. Thanks for tuning in. What's up, Danny? Good evening back at you. Peter, what's up? Thank you so much. Yes, had a great trip. All right, Blaze, what's up, man? Had a great trip up to Canada there last week. Got back yesterday. Saw a lot of family. It was really good. Thanks for asking, everybody. All right, Zane, what's up? It's going good. We're on the acoustic guitar tonight, but as always, finger picking is a little more conducive to the acoustic, but still there are skills here that you can transfer to the electric, okay, if you so desire. So don't fret if you've only got an electric. Hang in. All right. Francesca, what's up from Singapore? Excellent. Kevin, how you doing? Igor from Mexico City, good to see you. Oh, great. Thanks, Glenn. Got a lot out of the last lesson. Thank you so much, Glenn. Thanks for checking in on the trip. It was great. Stephen NH, thank you so much. Good to be back. Welcome, sir. Dave, what's going on? Vinny, love it. From Vermont, and Craig, winter is here down under. Just want everybody to know. All right, Jim Gregory, psyched that we are psyched that you are here as well. For those of you just joining, I have tabs for this lesson, and I also started posting the Guitar Pro files. A Guitar Pro, whether it be Guitar Pro 7 or I think they're up to 8 now. They just released 8. So there is a file that you can load into Guitar Pro if you have that software. And the only thing is I don't really set the tempos, so you might have to fiddle with the tempos to get it to where it makes sense. What's up, Chris in Calgary? Was just there. Right on. Cheers. Back at you. Excellent. All right. So, yes, we've got tabs. We've got Guitar profiles. Expand the video below this. Okay. Grab your tabs any which way. And if somebody does happen to have a Guitar Pro, whether it be Guitar Pro 7 or whatever, let me know if those work. I've been uploading them, and I think I exported out of Guitar Pro 7. Hopefully it loads in different versions of Guitar Pro or whatever you have. So if you happen to have that, let me know if it works. All right. Fingerpicking Bootcamp. Or what is it? Okay, Rusty's asking about Guitar Pro. It's a software program that allows you to do tabs, but it also offers songs, I believe, and then it's like a player. So you can set it to, you can actually plug your guitar into it and have different amp sounds, and then when you play back the tab, it actually plays like a guitar, I guess. So I can't remember who it was who was asking for this. Since I do this, I make these tabs in Guitar Pro. He asked for those files just so he could load it in. So we're trying that out. We'll see if anybody gets something out of that. All right. Finger picking. All right. Obviously conducive to the acoustic, but don't shy away on the electric. You do end up doing some finger picking on electric using the fingers. All good skills to have, right? Usually start this off with a warm up. Usually started off with just a little bit of a primer here with, just positioning and everything. I know a lot of you have been with me for a while, so this is sort of review, but, it's kind of up at the top of the body. You just want to rest your arms so that you've got your fingers generally in the middle here between the bridge saddles and the fretboard, okay? That usually brings it in here. I'm coming in diagonally a little bit, okay? And that's sort of where you want to be, and you always want to try and be as relaxed as possible. Now, the big thing about this is that I do give you some suggested fingerings as far as which fingers to use on the strings. So you'll see the T for thumb, 1, 2, and 3 being the index, middle, and ring. And you'll see that up there, but those are just, they're not set in stone, okay? It's just sort of a suggested starting point, okay? If you find an easier way to do it, there's no problem with that, okay? And in fact, I find that I'm kind of always switching fingers depending on the strings. Usually you got your thumb on the lower strings, and then you've got your other fingers on the higher strings as a general sort of rule, but it can change just depending on what you're doing. Okay, so like I said, just take it with a grain of salt. I'm getting them up those fingerings just as an idea if you have no idea, right? If you have no idea how what fingers to use. Hopefully that makes sense. We usually start with a warm-up. And so I'm getting the thumb, index, middle, and ring involved in this. And we're going to grab one chord shape per bar. First one being a D minor, 5th position. But I want to include the bar so that you've got the low string, 5th fret. Okay, so you're barring on the 5th fret. And you've got the 7th fret of the D and G and 6th fret of the B string. So sort of a D minor / A or a D minor over A, how you might see that. And so what we're going to do is take these the thumb and the 3 fingers and go up 4 strings at a time on that chord shape. So you can see. What's up, Donna? So that's the first one. So you can go as slow as you want on this. It's just a warm-up. But what you want to do is you want to try and keep the timing steady, okay? Something like that, okay? Let that ring out, right? Igor's got a question. Is it common to be more comfortable with finger picking than hybrid picking? Yeah, I would say so. I found that to be the case myself, just learning guitar and experimenting with finger picking. And I didn't get to hybrid picking until a lot later. That's not to say that you couldn't do it before learning how to finger pick. So I'm not sure. All I can speak is from my experience that I sort of became comfortable with finger picking. You kind of get a little bit of agility in these fingers, and then it's not much of a stretch to just hold a pick and still have that agility kind of with the pick incorporating the fingers. So I would say probably it's a little more common, but there are exceptions to every rule, right? Chris, what's up? Jody 1. All right, so it worked. The GPX file. So it was Jody 1 who asked for the Guitar Pro file, and hopefully that worked out good for you. I did mention earlier that I don't set the tempos for these. You might have to probably adjust all that stuff once you play back these tabs in Guitar Pro. All right, so we have our first chord, that D minor chord, and this is our sort of our finger picking pattern. Just try to be as relaxed as you can. Go as slow as you need to. But like I said, try and keep the timing nice and steady, right? All right, Tien from Vietnam, welcome. Good to see you again. Then we're going to stay in that position and just move to an A minor bar chord, 5th position. Same finger picks, right? Okay. Just a nice little warm-up, getting you with chord shapes and just getting the fingers going, okay? And then we've got the open C chord with the G in the bass, okay? So sort of an extra finger there, a little bit of a thicker chord, but that allows us to keep our finger picking pattern for the warm-up nice and intact, starting on the low string. Okay, and as for sort of your attack with the plucks, with the fingers, just somewhere medium, okay, is probably a good place to start. You don't want to, practice too quietly, but you also don't want to practice, generally speaking, too aggressively, where you're sort of really plucking the strings, right? So this might be a little too soft, right? And this might be a little too hard. Where you're sort of digging in like that. Now, of course, when you're playing music, there might be situations where you want to do those extremes of dynamics. But to get the technique under your fingers a little bit, just start somewhere in the middle, where it feels nice and relaxed, where your fingers are just pulling those strings at just a nice medium. Okay? Nice medium dynamic. And then going from that chord to an open G chord, same finger picks. Right, so let's just put it, we'll go through it slowly and just put together all 4 bars, starting with the D minor /A with the A in the bass, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Messed it up. One more time. All right. Just getting the fingers moving a little bit, right? Y'all with me? Excellent. Great, great. Okay. Exercise 2, we're going to get into, once again, just keeping a consistent finger picking pattern, but moving the chords around a little bit. This is a descending progression where we're going from a G to a D to an F to an A, but sort of the low note of the chords is descending downwards with some sort of bass leading, I guess, is what you would call that. And we're starting with a G major triad. So the triad shape of a major chord on the D, G, and B string. I've got 5 on the D, 4 on the G, 3 on the B. What's up, Carmine? How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. And then we're combining it with the open high string. So if we look at this, we're starting with our thumb on the D string and then just index on the G, middle on the B, ring on the high string. Oh, sorry. So notice that we've got a complete bar on this chord. Okay. So you have to make sure that the subdivisions work out, right? So what happens is if we go like that, in eighth notes, you're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, and you still have an eighth note, so you can add another pick if you want to keep consistent eighth notes. Another way you could do this is the on the last beat, which is the 4th beat, you could just let that last thumb pick ring out, right? Like that till the end of the bar and then move to the next bar. In this case, we're just coming up and getting one more note out of it and staying all eighth notes. So like that, okay? Now I'm going to move to a different major triad shape for a major chord. This one's a first inversion shape on the D, G, and B. 4th fret of the D, 2nd fret of the G, 3rd fret of the B. Now this is actually a D major chord, but you've got an F sharp in the bass. So you often see that D/F sharp. When we add in the E note on the top string, the open string, that changes it into a D add 9/F sharp. So you've got sort of a floatier kind of chord, right? And then it's back to that original triad shape, this time 2 frets down to the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st fret of the D, G, and B. That's an F chord. And then if we add the open E string, that makes it an F major 7. And then down to the A sus2. And all you got to do there is the open A string, 2nd fret of the D and G, and the open top string. Okay? So yes, indeed, very Rush-like, right? If you know your Rush, you'll recognize this progression. Okay, so I changed it a little bit from the song that's from, which, by the way, is on Guitar Tricks. So it's got a little bit of I think he uses a pick on it. Doesn't use finger picking, but it's a great progression, arpeggiated sort of riff to finger pick as well. So that's the idea with that. One more time with that, maybe a little bit slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have those final strums, you know, when you see the arrow a little bit, you can use your thumb, drag it across, and you can kind of, you know, with that arrow, it sort of means that you're doing sort of a slow strum over the strings, where it's a little bit too fast to be classified as an arpeggiation, but maybe it's a little bit slower than a regular like a strum like that. You might just sort of bring that thumb across the strings a little bit slow, and it has a nice sort of splay, they call that. Everybody with me? All right. Exercise 3 is sort of related a little bit, and adding in the sus2, sus4 kind of sound on each chord. So we're going to do an A chord and an E chord. Excellent, Igor. All right. So back to that A sus2. I'm going to play this example. I'll talk about it a little bit. So here we go. Wow. Okay. Okay, there's a little move at the end that's could be a little bit tricky. So once again, we'll go really slow with this, and of course I could use the practice on this as well. So starting with the thumb on the A string, and again using index on the D, middle on the G, and the ring on the B string. Okay, we're just going up and down those strings on the chord shape. Then you see you add a pinky onto the 3rd fret of the B string and come down with 3 picks, and you're going to move that to the 2nd fret of the B, and then pull it off again for the open B. And let that ring out. So one more time, a little bit slow. Okay, then we're going to move to an E chord. Now our shape's a little bit different here, so getting that sus2 sound on the open E chord is a little more challenging because your major thirds on the 1st fret of the G string. That makes getting the sus4 easy because you can get the 2nd fret of the G string, okay? So that's what I'm doing there. I'm going 1st fret, 2nd fret, back to the 1st fret. But then getting the sus2, you need the 4th fret of the D string in there. So I make a move here, 4th fret of the D to the E note, 7th fret of the A, and then the low string. So you can kind of hear that sound. Sort of what we're going for there. So if I put that last bar together a little bit, what's up, James? How's it going? Okay. Putting the whole thing together should sound something like this. So a little bit of a tricky move at the end there. With me, we all good? Excellent, excellent. Okay, exercise 4. All right. Excellent, excellent. Thanks, King50. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you. James, I'm okay trying to create music, but nothing good comes out of me. Just keep working at it, man. Keep working at it. You got to keep going. All right? We got to keep playing. That's how all the good stuff's in there. You just got to keep playing to get it to come out. Okay. I have faith in you, James. I'm going to play this next one's a little bit of a sort of an extended descending chord progression a little bit. Rad Flying V, what's up? Oh, sorry, there was no notification, I guess, this week. Sorry about that. I'll let them know it at admin and see what's up with that. John, what's up? Cheers back at you. Matt, what's going on? Thanks for joining, everybody. So we're starting this one. Let me just play this one first, and then break this down a little bit, because there's sort of a lot going on here, but it all sort of has the same sort of consistent shape to the finger picking. Here we go. Hey, Kenneth, what's up? Glad you joined. Glad everybody's tuning in tonight. All right. Excellent. Okay, so some of you with the good ears have been picking stuff out. You might know that one, maybe. You know I'm an 80s guy, right? So all these examples come from songs, if you're into that 80s rock kind of thing. Or in this case, early 90s sort of rock. But great exercises, nonetheless. A little bit tricky is that we're practicing a hammer-on, series of hammer-ons, right? We've got the thumb on the open D string, and you're going to hammer on the second fret of the D and then the third fret of the D. And then you're going to grab the third fret of the B string and make this chord shape right here. This is an F6 sus2 kind of chord shape. It's not all the notes in that chord, but that's what it sort of implies, right? Because we definitely got an F in the bass. So, and you're going to use your index finger on the G and your middle finger on the B string. And then just come down to the second fret of the D, same shape. Okay, so that first bar with the pickup hammer-ons. And notice that pickup is in 16th notes, right? So it's a little bit quicker than once we settle into the finger picking pattern. Okay. Next bar after that, I'm going to keep the top of this chord the same and just move the root note to the C note, third fret of the A string. Okay, so this is a good exercise for just moving where the thumb's going to hit. And then back down to the third fret of the low string for the G. And once again, same picks up top. So we've got... Okay, and then we get down a little bit to a lower F note, first fret of the low string. And now instead of coming G string, B string, back to the G string, we're going to go all the way up to the open E string. So then you get your ring finger involved. Okay, one more time. Then the open low E string. You've got the same thing on top. So what really anchors this chord progression is the bass notes are moving, but really we've got a lot of the same notes up top. Okay. From there, we're going to go to A minor 7 shape. Now, this is where the pattern changes a little bit because we're going to go thumb for the root note, open A string, but then just keep going up the strings, right? Index, middle ring. And then a quick little hammer on from the open A string to the second fret. Okay, and all we're doing is moving the second fret of the D string to hammer onto the A string. So that gives you that open D string in that, if we're looking at the fifth bar of this example, example 4, right? So and then we end up on a C chord. And then you're going to kind of move up with your ring finger and hit the open E string and come back down to the B string. So, all right, so a lot of movement in this. We've got a lot of sort of the same types of things that tethers it, but then it kind of will change a little bit, right? So this is a great exercise, being able to incorporate some hammer-ons, also moving your thumb while holding a chord up top, as well as changing the strum or the finger picking pattern in the last couple bars. Okay, play it one more time before we move on. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of idea. Make sense? You hanging with me so far? Don't have a lot of questions tonight so far, so we've got a few, and thank you for those. But hit me up if you got anything guitar related at all. Doesn't have to be finger picking either. All right. So I think that's a great little exercise. Once again, just got some cool floaty chords. Right on, Chris. Thank you, sir. Steve, trying to figure out what song that is from. It is from a song. Rusty, you want me to say how bad I am again? Come on, man. We can't do it. Keep looking forward. Looking forward. Keep at it, man. That was an extreme song from Three Sides. It may not be exactly note perfect from the song that I took that from, but it's the general idea. I don't even think I can remember the name of it, but it's on there. Luke, why songs have to start from beginning to end? Philosophical question. That's a good one. Stop the World, good. Same album, not the same song. Actually has a similar riff to it, doesn't it? How does that one go? Stop the World. Man, I can't think of it right now. I used to know how to play that one. Darn it. That was a good guess, but it was part of that the third side. Whatever, that was sort of a long song, whatever that was. Luke is asking, is a chapter book and a studio album the same or different? Interesting. Philosophical questions. I'm not sure. Jim is asking, what's the deal with the M minor 7 flat 5 in place of diminished? Yeah, good question on that. I believe the correct sort of definition of a diminished chord is that the diminished chord is a triad, okay? So there's 3 notes that form a diminished chord. And so what that is in the example, let's say C, right? They're minor thirds put together. So you've got the root, the minor third, and then the flat 5 give you a diminished triad, okay? Now, when you add the seventh to that, there's a whole bunch, there's different types of seventh chords. Okay, so the double diminished, I think it's called, or the diminished seventh chord, right, will, that's sort of in the, when you add, when the seventh is a third away as well, it's a diminished seventh chord. But the minor 7 flat 5 is the difference is in the seventh. Okay, the seventh is minor. Let's see. So the flat 5, right? That would be the difference between a minor 7 flat 5 and a diminished seventh. Okay, because you're going to go up a minor third from the flat 5. Okay, so it's like a double flat seventh. Whereas just a flat seventh or a minor seventh is 1 fret up, and that makes it a minor 7 flat 5. Probably way too complicated. Hopefully you sort of got the idea on that. But that's what's up, I believe, on that. Okay. Travis Picking is coming at the end of the lesson, Steve. All right. Luke is a segue to continue without stopping. Good questions. There you go. Glenn is asking, is there a place I can get all of the cage chords on the same page on Guitar Tricks and a printable page on the neck of the notes? You know what you'd want to do is go to the chord finder. Okay, so the toolbox section of Guitar Tricks, and there is a chord finder, and that'll show you all the caged chords, and you can flip through them. Okay. It doesn't actually show you them, I think, at the same time. Like you have to go one chord at a time, but you can set the buttons so that you can go through each of those cage chords and have a look at those voicings. The other thing you can do is go to, there's also another chord thing in the toolbox. Let me just pull it up real quick because I can't remember exactly how to go there. Let's see. Toolbox section. Okay, you'll see that. And there's a chord finder, and there's also chord charts. So those are your two sort of little apps within Guitar Tricks that I think you could probably get what you're looking for. But I would also type into the search function caged, and there are some caged lessons. And I believe probably in those caged lessons, there will be diagrams showing you the caged chords, those chord shapes, okay, for major and minor and whatever else, sevenths. Hopefully that helps. Check it out. Let me know how it goes. And send a message to me on my forum if you're not getting what you're looking for, and we'll do a little bit of a deep dive, okay, and we'll get it. Okay, Glenn, hopefully that helps. All right, thanks, Rusty. Hit the like button if you dig it. Subscribe. Tonehead Seeker saw Extreme last night with Cheap Trick. That's a killer double bill. Right on. I always thought Extreme was really underrated. I saw them live and I was blown away. They're just a really good band live. They do it all live and real, right? So there you go. Excellent. Okay. Larry's saying, enjoyed. Have you ever seen the rain on Guitar Tricks? Thanks. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Awesome. That was a fun one for sure. Okay. Heading into exercise 5. Keep the questions coming, by the way. Thanks for all the questions. Appreciate it. Okay. Exercise 5, a little bit of a blues riff. I'm going to go real slow on this because this is sort of Travis Picking-ish a little bit. We've got hitting a constant bass note on this E chord in the first and third bar here. Okay. and then going to, so let's see, we're starting. This is what the thumb's doing. Okay, we're going to add notes on the top. And it's a little bit tough because, first of all, you're going to grab the 3rd fret of the B string after you got the high E string with the low E string. You're going to add a little bit of a bluesy bend on it. And then that high E string, you're going to do on its own as an 8th note. So, and then you want to get the 3rd fret of the low string with your thumb and give it a little bit of a bluesy bend going into an A7. Okay, so that's where I'm barring down on the 2nd fret from the D string all the way up and putting my finger on the 3rd fret of the high string. Okay, got the open A. Now this is just sort of a straight arpeggiation. We're just hitting the thumb just once with the high string at the same time. And then middle finger index coming down on the B and G string. And then plucking again on the high string. Down to the low string, open, and then the 3rd fret with a bluesy bend. Okay, so let's look at those first 2 bars again. One more time, a little bit slowly. Okay, pretty cool. We're going to repeat that first bar again. Then you're going to go to a B7 shape, okay? So it's a tough grab coming out of that E chord. Finger picking pattern in the 4th bar on the B7 is the same as the 2nd bar. Okay? And you still got the lick at the end doing those low notes, right? So you're just changing the chords from A7 to B7 in the 2nd and 4th bar. You can kind of loop this and it sounds pretty cool. And it sounds really cool even if you go nice and slow, which you'll probably have to do to get this under your fingers, right? It's a little bit tricky, so. Got it? We'll hit it one more time. See if I can do it a little bit faster. Our obligatory finger pick blues exercise for the workshop, right? All good. Go slow with it. Have fun with it. Mix and match, right? A little bit tricky code for next to impossible. It's not impossible. If I can play it, you guys can play it. You just got to go slow and just keep at it, all right? Excellent. All righty. Exercise 6, descending progression. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to play this one through a little bit so you get the shape of it. And this is a really fun one as well. So let's see what it sounds like. One more time. Clam City right there. One more time, a little bit slower. All right, so playing on these shapes that are really cool to finger pick with open strings. I'm fretting notes on the A string and B string, okay? So I've got a thumb and my middle finger there, and then just adding in the open G string as I move shapes up and down. So that first one, 10th fret of the A, 12th fret of the B, okay? Sort of outlining G major, probably, right? G major bar, and just playing the root in a higher third, right? And when you move that up 2 frets, you can kind of think the same thing. Then I get up to 14 on the A, 15 on the B. It's sort of like a B minor outlining, right? But you're playing all that against, you're adding in the open G string as well. So it gives a really cool, like that. So each chord shape is going to have a thumb and a middle finger pluck, and then the open G string with your index finger, and then back to the A and B strings at the same time. No, sorry, I didn't explain that right. Back to the B string. Okay. Okay. So now we're moving down back to those same shapes that we started with. And then we've got the shape here, 9th fret of the A, 10th fret of the B. Okay. Then, so now you've got 2 right on the beat here, quarter notes. Same sort of shapes. This time 7th fret of the A, 8th fret of the B, and then 5 on the A, 7 on the B. So. Okay. And then finishing it up 4 and 5 on the A and B. Going to 2 and 4 on the A and B. Whoops. 2 and 3 is what I meant to say. And then you can just land on an A major. So I'm just hitting the open A string and plucking the 2nd fret of the D and G. All right, so one more time. Cool. Excellent. Russ has a question here, and we'll see here. You mentioned you figure out a song based on the chord progression first and then the melody. Quick demo on a simple song like Twinkle, Twinkle, Happy Birthday, or whatever comes to your mind. Well, in the case of those kind of songs, I guess I would figure out the chord progression after the melody, right? I wonder what the context of what I said that, when I said that, was figuring out the chord progression, and then maybe it was more just like a song from a band or something, maybe is what I was saying. I can't remember the context of what I said there, but in this context, when I'm thinking about figuring out what the 1, 4, 5, right? I would go off the melody first, because those melodies are really yeah, exactly, the band setting thing. What key would it be in? Well, in the case of Twinkle Twinkle, right? So we're sort of doing the opposite of what Russ was mentioning, but we'll go with it for a little bit. So I know that I'm using notes in C major there. I started on a C, going to the 5th. All right, that's C. C major, okay? So we're going to have... doesn't sound right, so it'd be the F, right? F with a now the A note up top. So you hear that maybe a chord change would happen there. Well, there's an A, so if you think about, okay, either the 4 or the 5, right? The 4 chord in the key of C is F, and it has an A note. So that's what I would do. Just for that A note, I would move up to F, back to C. So so then the next melody note there is the F. So maybe go up to the F chord. Then it comes down to E. Well, that's the major third of the C, so go to the C. Then it's a D, which is in the 5 chord, which is the G. And then it ends on C. So you're back on C. So the chord progression that would work would be. Does that make sense? I'm sort of following the notes of the melody and just thinking about what chords work with those notes. And then you just try the chords out. And if it sounds like it kind of works, then there you go, right? Okay. In the context of the reverse, I'd have to think about that for a little bit because, maybe you've got a chord progression that you're hearing on a song. You're trying to figure it out. You figure out each repeating section. You figure out what those chords are, and keep trying bass notes and see if you can guess whether it's a major or a minor chord. And then you start to think a little bit about kind of what works in the context of the key. It's a much larger discussion, but we'll sort of chip away at it a little bit each week. I'll bring stuff like that up a little bit. I usually do in the guitar workouts and in the style sessions, right? So we'll keep at it a little bit, but that's sort of the general overview of it. All right, so we'll move on for now. Maybe we'll come back to that. All right, so we've got, yes, work in progress. We'll talk about it a little bit more. Maybe I'll build them into some examples in the coming weeks, okay? We'll talk a little more about it. So, exercise 7, sort of a bluegrass idea where you're playing single notes and trying to get them to ring out as chords. And one of the ways to do it is to, instead of playing the notes sort of on the same string so that they cut off, you can kind of play them on open strings and let them ring out a little bit. So this first example, okay, you're actually sort of playing this melody, but you're incorporating open strings to it, right? So starting off with, this is a D major triad shape, top 3 strings. Okay. If we're talking about caged chords, it's the upper part of what would be an open A chord, just moved up the neck. Okay. And you've got all 3 notes to make a major chord. You got the root, the third, the fifth. Okay, so that's that triad shape on the top 3. Okay, so you're going to arpeggiate it. You've got your thumb on the G string here in this case. So you go index, middle, index, thumb. And then it's going to be, you're going to lift off so that you got the open string. You still got the 7th fret of the B and G, and then going back to the open B string in that first bar. Okay, next bar. You got to slide 7 to 9 on the G string, and then going back to the 7th fret of the G string. Okay, so all thumb. Then another one, which gives you that bluegrassy kind of sound from the minor third to the major third. I'm going to the 10th fret of the G, sliding to 11. which is the major third of the D chord. And then I'm going to hit the open high E string, come down quickly to 7th fret of the G, and then the open B string going down to the D chord. So if you put that second bar a little bit faster, really cool sound. And so if you played that on the same string, okay, that's sort of the melody there, but you're hitting open strings with it and letting them ring out and giving it a whole different character, right? So you put it together. Let's see. Try and get it a little bit faster. All right, a little bit tricky indeed, okay? So go slow with each little chunk, but definitely sort of in the bluegrass vein of just getting those open strings to kind of pop out a little bit and pluck out. Cool? See if I can play it fast a couple times here. Got to work on that a little bit to get it fast. Sliding hurts your fingers. Oh, Elias, you got to build up those calluses a little bit. Maybe you're digging in a little too much. Remember the pressure on the notes. You know, you don't want to press through the fretboard. Okay. I realize that sometimes in order to be accurate with your slides, especially if they're quick, it helps to kind of press in a little bit. But once you get sort of used to that a little bit, try to lay off. And really a general rule for the guitar is just the lightest amount of pressure to make the note nice and clean is what you're going for. Okay? See if I lighten up too much, you hear it kind of like, it doesn't quite give me the clean. But I'm able to do that without really, because that hurts my fingers when I do that. But want to ease off a little bit and just kind of get used to the technique and try to go as light as you can. Hopefully a combination of that and just having a little bit of calluses on your fingers should help, okay? If it really starts hurting, stop doing it, right? It might be the kind of thing to chip away at, you know, for a minute or two a day to build up the calluses and sort of get to where you've got your fingers feeling comfortable and not super pressing. Make sense? Hopefully that helps. Sorry they're hurting. All right, final exercise, as always, sort of some sort of Travis picking exercise. And so what I chose here is based on the E chord at first. Good, all right. Grabbing the major chord shape that we saw earlier on the D, G, and B strings. It's the first inversion major triad. In this case for E, so I'm starting on the 6th fret of the D, 4th fret of the G, 5th fret of the B. Okay. All right, John, good to see you. You can always recap it after it's up. Right on, man. So let's look at the pattern here. We've got alternating bass line right on the beat, right? And you're just going to fill it in. Okay. So the first one, with that thumb on the low string, you're getting the G and B string of the chord. You're plucking that. Then it's going to be the thumb on the D, and then index finger on the G. And then back to the low string. Then you're going to grab the B string with your middle finger. And then that thumb coming in again on the D string. And Now, if you're new to this finger picking pattern, stay on that first bar. Okay, don't worry about the chord changes. Okay, just stay on that and just try to burn it in. Okay, so let me go through the chord progression here. Let me see if I can play it that slow. Okay, so here's the exercise. That's the exercise. Let me do it one more time here. That's the idea, sans all my clams, right? But I think you get the idea of it. Yeah, McCartney-ish maybe. I wasn't thinking of a specific song for this exercise. I kind of just like made it up and just was seeing where it went. But yeah, maybe a little bit Blackbird-ish, maybe. Although that's a completely different sort of finger picking pattern. But there you go. So yeah, just to kind of reiterate the chords, starting with the E major triad, and then if I pull, if you go down one fret on the B string, I'll have to check that out. Maybe I subliminally channeled that song. I don't know if I'm familiar with that song, so I'm gonna have a look after that. So E major 7, and then you kind of got to do a tricky little finger shift right there to get the E7, and then up to A. So you're going to switch to the your finger picking pattern's now going to be with the thumb on the A string to get the root for the A chord, right? Let's see. Going from A major to A minor, then back to the E, so you got to go back to the low E string. And then we're going to go to F minor 7. And I grab that all with just root and then bar down on the top strings. Let's see. Okay. B7. So that's a bar chord, second fret of the A string all the way up, adding the fourth fret of the D and B. That's a B7. Okay, and then back up. That's it. Hopefully you get that under your fingers. Great exercise. As always, the Travis picking, you want to just start on one chord and just work on getting that feel and those fingers down for what's going on with the alternating bass and adding some stuff. Steve, thanks so much. Igor, thanks so much. Steve Langford, keep hearing I need to know my triads and inversions. Any thoughts? Yeah, it really opens up the fretboard if you get too familiar with those, okay? Which is why I always like to talk about triads. I don't know if you noticed, most of these sessions I'll bring those triad shapes. What it allows you to do is just be able to kind of hit a chord anywhere on the neck, wherever you happen to be, okay? And if you know those shapes, you can play those chords anywhere on the neck, wherever you happen to be, and then also improvise off those chords. It's those chord shapes are sort of the backbones of knowing where the scale notes are around them. Then you can do all sorts of cool embellishing, okay? So triads, inversions, start. You know, each string set has major and minor triad shapes. So just work on those, right? So as an example, major chord, top 3 strings. I'm going to start with D. Okay, there's one shape is that sort of D shape. And then we talked about this one in the previous example. And then you got this one up here at the 10th position, which is an extension of the bar chord, root 6 bar chord, and then it repeats. And these shapes just allow you to right? You just move around and kind of come up and down with those chord shapes and play in and around a chord. It just really opens up the fretboards. So highly recommend doing it. And of course, you got your minor shapes too. And of course, the shapes are different depending if you're on the top 3 strings versus the D, G, and B strings versus the A, D, and G strings. Okay, they're just slightly different shapes. Worth learning all of them. Okay, great question. Thanks for the questions, everybody, tonight. Excellent. Steve said, glad to see another Stones lesson on GT. Great job. Well, thanks so much. Dead Flowers went up, so that's great. I'm shooting some more Stones. There's more sort of more obscure Stones coming up. I think we mentioned that in a previous session, but and I've got a couple more I'll be filming next week or the week after. So cool. We still got some Stones coming. So glad you dig it. Rusty, thanks for the kind words and thanks for everything you do. On the comments here, Chris, thank you. Jim, yes, indeed, all roads lead to the triads. Danny, have a great weekend back at you. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there coming this Sunday. Thanks, Jody One. Thanks, Russ. Appreciate it, man. Rad Flying V. Thanks so much. King 50. All right. Thank you. Zane. Excellent. Thank you. Glenn B, as always. Thanks, Blaze. Appreciate it. What else we got? Steve, thank you. Dennis, thank you. Theodore, take it easy. Later. Right on, Jim Gregory. Excellent, excellent. John, of course, thank you. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a great weekend. Have a great next week. We'll be back Friday, same time. Take care. See you guys.